Good morning. Today I'm going to demonstrate a different approach to a flipped classroom. Rather than presenting a lesson via the video and then building upon that lesson in the classroom, in this model, what you do is you use the launch, explore, discuss method of teaching. In that method, you launch a problem, students explore the problem, and then you bring students together to discuss their solutions and their investigations. In this approach to flipping, what you do is you actually launch the problem via the video. Students then explore the video before they get to class. So rather than doing the whole LED, launch, explore, discuss, in the class, you launch the problem before the class. Students begin their exploration outside of class. When you arrive in class then, what students do is they continue their investigation, share their work with others, and you discuss. So again, like other flipped classrooms, this offloads part of the class, part of the lesson to before the classroom, and then when students enter the classroom, you build upon what they've done. So here's my investigation. We have to assume something that we've already done in the class, and this is actually a problem that I use in my college geometry class. But I thought it'd be appropriate. We'll do it because it's more appropriate for you necessarily than it is for say middle school or some high school students. So let's assume what we've already done in the class is we've established the volume of a pyramid. The volume of a pyramid is 1/3 times the area of the base of the pyramid times the height or the altitude of the pyramid. And remember, for a pyramid, what you have is you have an altitude, which I'll call h. In this case, since the pyramid is a rectangular pyramid, the length and the width, if that's squares, then those two dimensions will be the same. You also have a dimension called the slant height. And the slant height is the height, is essentially the altitude of one of the triangular sides of the pyramid. So in this demonstration, we have to assume that in prior classes we've talked about the volume of the pyramid, we've worked examples of the volume of the pyramid. Students know how to find the volume of a pyramid. So with that, I have two questions for you. Firstly, we're going to focus on a frustum of a pyramid. And a frustum of a pyramid is a portion of the pyramid that lies between the base, that's on the bottom, and a plane that is parallel to the base. So in essence, what this plane does is this plane will chop off a portion of the pyramid, the top portion of the pyramid. And the frustum, is what remains. Okay, so my first question for you, and the question I would have for students is, what would be your strategy for finding the volume of this frustum? If I just gave you a frustum, how would you find it? Or if you had the whole pyramid and I said, here's the plane, I'm going to chop off a portion of this, how would you find the volume of that frustum? So question one is just identify what strategy you would use to find the volume of a frustum. Question two is certainly a more involved question, but one that I like. I have a net which I will hold up, and a net of a frustum is a two-dimensional figure that's formed when you essentially cut along the edges of the frustum and unfold the frustum, unfold the faces so that the sides of the frustum, the faces, are laid flat. In this figure, I have a net of a frustum, and I will hold one up in class as well. The dimensions are, the base is 9 centimeters all around. The top portion of the frustum are 4 centimeters. And what would amount to the slant height of the frustum is 12 centimeters. So given these dimensions, and just the net of the frustum, can you find the volume of the frustum that's formed by this net? So that, imagine if I folded this back together to create a frustum, what would be the volume of this frustum? Identify an appropriate strategy, how would you go about solving this problem? And then, for the extra for experts, what would be the volume of this frustum? As I always do in all of my flip videos, I try to be clear about what I want students to submit to me. So, for this case, I would say submit your responses to question 1 and 2 at the start of class on Wednesday.